Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Around the Ropes podcast for this April Fool's Day. Guys, we are back. The team of J&J, because that's what I'm just seeing here on the side here. We are back. Yes,
Jazzy Jeff.
I know we've had two shows the last 2 weeks that have been not our normal stuff. Obviously, we know what happened 2 weeks ago, and then last week with the birthday celebration show. But I know it's been a while since Jazzy Jeff has been on. Jeff, how you doing? How you feeling?
I'm okay. I'm all right. Doing a little bit better, which is good. Feeling a little bit better. Happy birthday to you. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
How was your big event?
It was good. It was a lot of fun. I got to actually, be me for once and actually relax.
That's good.
Which I don't feel like I ever get to anymore. But it was a lot of fun. Definitely want to, like I said, definitely want to give the girls a shout out from last week, Amanda and Laura, for doing the takeover of the show. I thought they did a very good job. And they, like I said, they had fun with it. And that's all last week was to have some fun.
Yeah, and I'm sorry I missed it. I really am. I was looking forward to joining you there.
It's all good. It's all good. But glad you're back. And guys, it's weird to think we are not even 3 weeks out from WrestleMania.
2.5 weeks. I was telling my children that the other day. Everyone's excited.
I'm stoked. We're going to get into WrestleMania here in a second, but I just want to touch briefly on the show I was at this past weekend, Ace. Had Hero.
How was it?
Top to bottom, one of the best cards I've seen.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with a tag team, Jeff, called Sent to Slaughter?
Again, probably if I saw them, but the name doesn't.
Sean Donovan and Danny Moth.
Okay. They were there?
They took on a team called Los Sucios for the Ace tag titles. When that match becomes available on the Ace YouTube page, because the way Ace does it is they don't do the whole show in one shot. Each match becomes a mini episode.
Mm-hmm.
When that match comes out, I highly recommend people to go see it. Was probably top 5 tag team matches I've seen live in person.
That's saying something, considering all of the matches you've seen. That's giving them a lot of credit there.
Yeah, there was one of my favorite matches I've ever seen. They told the story, and the fact now that Sean Donovan and Danny Moff now are the Ace Tag Team Champions, it means things are going to get interesting. Also, I would not be remiss if I did not give a congratulations to Dr. Sleep Anthony Gangone for capturing the Ace Heavyweight title. I know myself and Gangone, we have a bit of a track history, which, again, it's not that we have a bit of a track history, I don't want to put it that way, but we've crossed paths before. But he had one hell of a battle. It was him, Cade Lothbrock, and Darius Carter in a triple threat match for the vacant Ace Heavyweight title. He won. Great job. All the matches on the card was great, but the ending is what surprised everybody. The ending, and I said this because we have some comments coming here. I'll get to them in a second. But I said this to one of the guys at the building that night. I said 2025 is the year of the heel turns. Let me phrase it. The heel turns we don't expect to see. And what I'm referring to is obviously you had John Cena who turned heel. And at this show, at the end of the show, you had Mike Morgan, who was the owner and the promoter, turn heel. And it shocked the entire building. To the point that if you see some of the chair shots he was given, you would have even sat there and said, ow, that hurts.
Where was the show?
T-Neck. Teaneck, New Jersey.
How far is that from where you live?
About an hour and a half.
Okay, so right over the expressway there. Where do you go over the
Right
Bronx?
over the GW, right there.
Yep.
So, but like the other thing also with that building, a lot of people were upset that they didn't have this. They have empanadas that they make, homemade empanadas that are some of the best damn empanadas. I mean, there's a reason why they're called those freaking empanadas.
They're that good, huh?
When I was there last year, because he ran last year, he had a show, and then he didn't do anything else until the show this past weekend. He had like I think at one point he had a General So's empanada, but it's like you eat it and you think it's like some 5-star restaurant.
Wow. Sounds like you had a good time.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. Like I said, Ace actually is returning to that building on May 24th, Memorial Day weekend for their next show. So definitely want to stay in tune for that. We'll definitely have a lot of coverage for you guys of that show on here in the weeks to come. But let me get to these comments here before we get to what's been going on in WWE. Mark chimes in and goes, John, what's up? Welcome back, buddy. Nice to meet you, Jeff.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you.
And then Mark is agreeing about the tag title match, saying, oh, yes, what a great match. And friend of the show, across the pond, hey, John, Jeff, how are you guys doing? David, I am so glad you're watching tonight, buddy, because if I'm waiting for anybody's reaction to the announcement coming up at 9 o'clock tonight, it's you, my friend. And I'm only saying that because of this reason. David is an original. He's an OG fan.
And I'll just have the audience know, I don't know what this announcement is. I told you not to tell me, so to leave me in the dark. So I'm just as excited as everybody else to hear what you have to say.
But I say that because David actually, Jeff, you're going to actually find this interesting. David has watched the show since the first day. We started this 3 years ago.
Quite the fan, and he's from overseas, huh?
Yes. He told us one time a couple months ago he has to stay up till 2. He stays up till 2 o'clock in the morning on Tuesdays just for us.
It'd be interesting to get his take on some of the independent scene or the what we would call the independent or territorial scene of wrestling over in England. I'm always interested in hearing what happens over there as well.
I definitely would love to. That it's funny. If I've ever I'm going to ask you right now. If you ever had the opportunity to go anywhere in the world to see a pro wrestling match, where would it be?
Me?
Yeah. Money wasn't an option. There was nothing holding you back.
I'd want to see authentic Lucha Libre wrestling down in Mexico. I love that style. I've always been a fan of that style of wrestling. I love the storytelling they do, especially with the masks. But I also love the work and the work rate that happens over in England. It's a much different style, more of a catch as catch can over there. What about you?
For me, it has to be England for one reason, not because of the matches itself, but to be in there with that crowd.
It's been quite the treat to see wrestling like the WWE the past 2 weeks in Europe, because those fans don't get a chance to see, the big wrestling events live as often as we do here in the States.
Well, not to cut you up, but I think that's why the crowd these past couple of weeks, when WWE has been on that tour, has been so electric.
Yeah, and every show that they do over there that they show live is the crowd is just so loud and electric and excited and so appreciative of the work and the shows that are put on.
Yeah, and we saw it. I mean, not even just these past couple of weeks with the European tour. I mean, go back to when they did Backlash in France last year. It was the
Mm-hmm.
same thing. It was
Yep.
the backlash in France. It was anytime they're in the anytime they're not in the United States for wrestling, the crowd is so. That's why I'm curious to see what's going to happen next Monday when they're back in Minnesota for Monday Night Raw.
I can tell you this. I know you want to talk about WrestleMania coming up, and you touched on John Cena, but mentioning the heel turn, I don't think that story is as complete or really it's taken on its own personality because of what happened 2 weeks ago in Belgium. With as loud and as fervent as the crowd was against Cena, I don't think his heel turn is as successful as it has become without the crowd doing what they did 2 weeks ago.
No, and I actually let's actually get into that now since you brought up the whole thing with Cena. We've seen the last 3 weeks now, Cena and Cody going back and forth on the microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know this whole thing got started because John sold his soul to Rock. I could be wrong because obviously with the whole time difference, I haven't had a chance to watch Monday Night Raw when it's been on. He hasn't mentioned Rock's name at all in any of the promos.
No, it's all been about him, and him and the fans, and how he feels screwed over by the fans and unappreciated by the fans. And you kind of touched base on this before we went live, was what is The Rock's role in all this right now? Because Cena's pretty much handled this heel turn on his own, and that just shows what kind of professional he is. That he could play any character without needing the rub or the back, the back scratch of any other, performer or athlete or anybody else.
Well, that's my question though, is did they go through with this whole thing and now all of a sudden Rock told them, hey, I'm not going to be at Mania. So instead of out and out saying it, they're just not having John mention his name.
The Rock is such a big name that you don't need to mention him for him to have an impact. He's the kind of star, almost like a Brock Lesnar or a Roman Reigns 2 years ago, where he can show up 2 months later and still,
he'll still get but my whole thing is this. This is where this whole story is getting confusing to me, because then why go through the whole thing of John selling his soul?
Is that going to be a payoff at WrestleMania, or is that going to be payoff later in the year?
I don't know.
And so that's what I want to see, because I actually kind of like where they're headed with the Cody and John Cena thing. I'd like to keep it just the two of them. I think Cena's going to go over at WrestleMania. I don't think you need to have Rock there at this time. I think you can slowly bring Rock back into the fold, and then that could eventually help Cena turn face again. You know what I mean? The Rock kind of turn his back on Cena, or vice versa.
Well, I brought this up. I was talking to Ryan Peterson about this. He's a ring announcer. I think you know who Ryan is, I think, right?
Of course, yeah.
And I brought up to him, and I agree with you about, I think, John Cena winning. I definitely see John Cena walking out of Mania in a couple of weeks as the 17-time World Heavyweight Champion. Now, could this lead to, because I'm looking more towards SummerSlam now. I'm thinking booking wise for a second. I'm not looking at Mania. I'm looking at SummerSlam, and SummerSlam's in New York City.
Yep.
MetLife Stadium. And there's one match that everybody is clamoring for before John Cena officially retires. One more Randy Orton John Cena match.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we can set that, somehow you can set the stage for John Cena, Randy Orton main event night 2, mind you? Because you gotta remember, SummerSlam this year is 2 nights, not one night. Main event night 2 of SummerSlam for the title, but have it be a heel Cena and a face Orton.
You can't go wrong with that. And you could even do, you know, you could even do. I didn't even argue you could do a career versus career match. That might be too big for a SummerSlam,
Yeah, it's
but
because I could see the scenario playing out where, let's say they do that. I can see the scenario John wins. He gets a run with this belt. I don't think this could be one of those. He gets the belt and then he drops it 2 weeks later.
no.
I think he's going to get a run here. I said this a couple weeks ago, and I'm sticking to this. There's been rumblings of a pay-per-view happening in Boston, the end of December. That would be basically John's final show.
Yeah, but John's got to win there. I mean, how do you have John lose in Boston?
Because think about it, you can have Cody basically tell him, look, you lose, you're going to have to. They play into the whole retirement thing with him,
Mm-hmm.
and basically be like, look, I agree with you. I don't think you can, but realistically, Cody's got to come out of this looking like a major babyface.
And he has been. Look at how he's been treated. He's been cheered here in the States, but look at how he's been just idolized over in Europe the past few weeks.
Well, the big thing I like is the promo they had yesterday, and the shots they were taking at each other. I was like, holy crap. Again, I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw that part of it. And I was like, wow.
They're blurring the lines. They're blurring the lines of, what's real and what's a work here between the two of them.
The one line I liked was when John turned around to Cody and said, yeah, I made billions of dollars for a billionaire. You just stole some from his kid.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
I mean, Cody's definitely become like the face of the company, but like John said it at whose expense though,
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think coming out of this, we can finally sit there and say Cody has the ability to stand toe to toe with John on the microphone.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which not many people have that opportunity.
No, and Cody could not have done this 5 years ago. Cody couldn't have done this 10 years ago. He needed to go away. He needed to do AEW. He needed to do the independent scene. He needed to find his own. And I talked about this, a couple weeks ago with you. This is that long-term storytelling where Cody's just been growing and getting better every week. He gets a little bit better every week.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. And like I said, him chasing the belt, I mean, I've said this now for a while on the show. The way they presented him as a champion, and let me backtrack here for a second. When the whole story was happening of him going after Roman for the title, I, like many other wrestling fans, was heavily invested in it. Because Cody, I feel, is better at chasing the belt than holding the belt. I'm just going to explain why I say that. You look at what right now with his title run. If you take out his match with Kevin Owens at the Rumble, and you take out his match he's going to have with John at Mania, can you give me another opponent he has faced in this title run that you think is credible enough to have taken the belt off of him?
Nobody. I think they've been saving this Cena, or, they've been saving this for a while. I think they've been protecting him for the past 2 years, knowing that John Cena's. I don't know if they knew that John was going to turn heel, but I think they were saving him up for John Cena. But Cody's just like his dad, great champion, great entertainer, better at chasing the belt,
Yeah.
Cena's your modern day Ric Flair. He is the face of wrestling.
Yeah, and I'll even go a step further. Technically, and I know everybody says, he's going to break Ric's record of the most title wins. If you look at the technicality of it, John already owns that record.
between.
Because if you look at it this way, John has won all 16 titles under the WWE banner.
Mm-hmm.
Rick, a lot of titles he won has been under WCW before WWE bought them, NWA, and we know NWA doesn't have any association with WWE.
But look what Rick did over the 20 years before, where he was going to different territories, carrying different people, like holding his own. Like he was the face of Southern wrestling in the NWA.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry about that, but that's the whole thing though. Is you look at somebody like Rick. Rick is a world heavyweight champion.
Mm-hmm.
Rick is a world heavyweight champion. You look at somebody like John. Yeah, he's defended the title worldwide, but the thing is, it's against the same competition.
Yeah, it's apples and oranges. You can't compare the reigns. And this is like saying, LeBron versus Michael Jordan, who's better? Different eras, different companies, just different styles.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem though. But I think looking at this match now, off of the 3 promos we've seen, I'm very excited to see how this match plays out.
My stepkids, who had never been into wrestling before last year, are watching every week to see this story grow, and they want to see Cody, what he's going to say next. And they didn't know Cena as much as you and I did, but they knew John Cena. He's their generation Hulk Hogan, really. And they are just so excited to see this WrestleMania play out.
Yeah, no, I completely. It's funny though, because going into it, I was like, oh, how are they going to do this? How are they going to do this? But now, I think they have something here. I think now I think the problem is also you couldn't have gone into this match and had face Cody versus face Cena. You couldn't have.
You could, but it wasn't going to be we wouldn't be talking about it, a month later after Backlash the way we are right now.
No. The problem is the crowd would have been split. You would have split that crowd. And you don't want to split the crowd on the biggest stage in pro wrestling.
Well, and your best storytelling is always good guy versus bad guy. Movies, songs, wrestling, what have you. I see the comments coming in. I keep checking my phone on all the comments.
I like David's here.
The difference.
I'm sorry, I popped on this one. But that's half the thing, though. Oh, I have to. Hi, Amanda.
And there's another thing. Actually, your friend there, he's got a point. John Cena was company made. That he had the WWE machine behind him. He had the money, the $1 billion company behind him. Ric Flair was self-made.
Yeah,
he did that. He carried the NWA. He carried WCW. Yes, Sting came along and Hogan and all that, but still.
But not only that, though. Not only that, though. I'm not to cut you up, but I agree with what you're saying. But when you look at somebody like Rick would go into a territory, work 4 different people, and get for the most part, get them all over.
Mm-hmm.
You take somebody like John and be like, okay, well, you're going to have a tour of, China or a tour of Mexico. 9 times out of 10, he was going to be facing the same person every night.
Well, and I keep going back to it. I mentioned this before. I was at the 1992 Rumble where Ric Flair won. And I always say he carried 28 other guys. He set up so many different WrestleMania stories that year and SummerSlam stories that year. Even the ones that he wasn't part of, he still had a hand in getting guys together and kind of getting that match to work, setting up The Undertaker to be a future star, setting up, Hogan and Vicious, setting up Macho Man and Jake the Snake. Like, he did all that, him and Piper. Piper and Hart later on. You know, Ric Flair did that without even having a lot to do with those guys.
Yeah, and you look at them though. John Cena wouldn't have done that now.
No. Look what he did with the Nexus of a decade ago.
Yeah, or not even that. How many times have we sat, have wrestling fans sat there and said, "Oh, if this guy didn't go up against Cena, he would be a multiple-time world heavyweight champion now."
But is that Cena or is that the WWE machine behind Cena?
Oh, that's without a doubt. It's not
exactly.
Cena. I don't think Cena wanted to deliberately bury Nexus, but let's be honest. He was one who kind of had the hand on the shovel.
Yeah.
I mean, you heard Wade Barrett said it because they had Wade Barrett on commentary on yesterday, obviously because they were in London. And Wade Barrett even turned on and goes, "Yes, it's the greatest day, in pro wrestling history when John Cena's on the floor."
Yeah. But he moves the needle no matter what.
Yeah. Yes. Mark just said, "Yeah, I agree. Rick put people over, but John Barrett, yeah, John did bury a lot of the guys."
I don't know if, again, is that John burying them or is that Vince McMahon and the previous leadership being afraid, not maybe afraid, but just using John Cena as their cash cow?
Well, I look at it this way. How many years was it when everybody thought that was the same thing with Hogan?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to go back that far, was it Hogan who buried all those guys? Or was it WCW?
Yeah, and the big story is Hogan had that creative control in his contract. We don't know what John Cena's contract is. I couldn't tell you, honestly.
No.
But
unfortunately, that's kind of out of both of our pay grades.
Yeah, way above mine. But there's a lot more going on at WrestleMania this year, though, and that's over 2 nights. I don't know how they're going to do all this over 2 nights.
Well, the thing is, I don't think we still even know half the cards yet.
No, I'm looking at the card right now. Night 1, they only have advertised as Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens, and then Roman versus Punk versus Seth Rollins in the main event. And what were you saying before we went live?
Oh, in regards to the Rumble winner, that the new rule should be going further. If you win the Rumble, that I know for years it's always been if you win the Rumble, you get to main event WrestleMania. Then somebody forgot to tell that to Jey Uso and Charlotte.
Yeah,
because they both won their respective Rumbles, and neither of them are closing out either show. The way it should be, I feel, is if you win the Rumble, it shouldn't be you get to main event. It should be, okay, you get a title match at WrestleMania.
Yeah, because you got the ladder match, the Money in the Bank. I mean, the Money in the Bank, which gets you a title match. I think the Rumble should get you something a little bit more than just a glorified Money in the Bank. Yeah. You should be able to main event WrestleMania. That should be it.
You should, but the problem is, with the way they've built the whole Gunther Jey Uso thing, they could not have closed out night 1 with them. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, the way they've built that story, I see that opening one of the 2 nights.
Which is a shame because you're talking Gunther is one of the best workers and champions, IC champion and heavyweight champion. He's dominant. He's just that old school European dominant kind of champion. And Jay's got the whole crowd behind him.
I think the problem is, not the problem per se, but the thing is, look at how they built that story, okay? And then if you look at the other side of it, and look at what is closing out night 1. Punk, Rollins, and Roman. There's this term I've always heard in pro wrestling. You close out the show with the hottest angle at the current time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And right now, non-title, take all the titles out of the picture. What is the hottest story right now WWE's doing? That's not
CM Punk.
So it makes perfect sense that you're going to have Punk close. But the other thing I'm just curious to see, though, is this favor. What the hell is this favor? because we all thought it was going to be Punk getting an opportunity to main event WrestleMania, and now apparently that's not the case. Apparently now, it seems like there's another favor coming, which would lead me to think either the only thing I can think of it being one of two possibilities. Either whoever wins night one gets inserted into night two's main event. So instead of it being John and Cody one-on-one, it would be John, Cody, and CM Punk.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have to realize that would make sense on the fact of each of those guys, Roman, Seth, and Punk, have a sort of a back history with Cody.
Yep.
And with John. So that's one possibility. The other possibility is, and I think this involves more Paul Heyman than anything, is Paul Heyman turns on Roman. That Paul Heyman turns on Roman and aligns himself with CM Punk, and we get one last CM Punk Paul Heyman run.
Punk's always been a Paul Heyman guy, and Paul Heyman has always believed in Cena. Punk. He's always been Punk's biggest defender. He brought Punk in. He made him the ECW champion way back in the day. You know, he's the one that wanted to elevate CM Punk to the main event status before Vince, tried to squash that. So that would make a lot of sense.
And somehow, and I presented this idea to Ryan, why don't we have a theory? Because let's be honest, Gunther is not walking out of Mania with that title. We're getting, if I had to put it vibes this way, I'm getting similar vibes that we had with Sammy last year at WrestleMania 40. That's the type of vibes I feel like we're getting. That underdog mindset, that nobody thinks you can beat the almighty Gunther, who I read, I think they put out a stat, he has held the title 84% of the time that he's been in WWE.
It's even before that. It goes back to his independent days. He's held a title like 84 to 86% of his wrestling career. Mm-hmm. Be it an under card title, the IC title, which he held forever and a day, which I loved. Yeah. This championship, that's how good he is.
But I don't think he's walking out of Mania with that title. I think it's going to be Jay.
Oh yeah. As over as Jay is, that makes sense. And I would love to see it because it adds fresh blood to the title scene too.
But I don't think Jay gets a long run with that belt.
No, he's not going to have a Gunther run or a Cody Rhodes run. He'll get a couple months out of it. But Jay's got a lot of potential challengers. His brother, which wasn't the best match last year at WrestleMania, but you got that. You got the rest of the bloodline, a Roman match, John Cena.
Yeah.
Right?
I would love for it to be? I would love for it to be. You're going to laugh at this one. If they go this route, because I would love for it to be Penta and Braun Breaker for the IC title at Mania.
We saw that a couple weeks ago in Belgium. The two of them closed the show.
Have Penta take the IC title. Have Braun go after that World Heavyweight title.
Well, and don't forget, we also have LA Knight in the mix there, too.
Yeah, we're going to be tactical. We also have Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people, but this is where I think they have to really, I'm not going to say thin out the competition, but they almost have to figure out something because of the fact you have so many people.
Yeah.
And also, we're also forgetting about the NXT guys.
Mm-hmm.
Who's to say that Jay doesn't do an open challenge and we get possibly a Trick Williams?
And that would be exciting too. I think they would put on just a barn burner of a match, those two.
Or I'll even go a step further. What about Obafemi?
It's exciting to see the next 6 to 12 months down the line.
I'll put it this way, it's fun. I'll put it simply, it's fun to be a pro wrestling fan right now.
I just want to give a quick plug. My son bought WWE 2K25. I bought it for him for his birthday last week. And part of the game, I don't want to spoil too much, you get to play as a Samoan storyline where you get to unlock different eras of the Samoan wrestlers.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the matches is from WrestleMania 9, the Head Shrinkers versus the Steiners. And in that match is Fatu, who became Rikishi, versus Rick Steiner.
Oh,
so you have Jey Uso's dad versus Braun Breaker's dad. And even in the match, even in a simulated computer match, you could see the traces of the current generation 30 years ago in that match.
It's weird, when you bring that up. It's weird to think that, it's like, the Steiners and the Anoahis never faced. Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they most certainly did. And not only did they do it on tag team, they would do it on singles on the house circuit too, because I remember seeing them in Albany wrestle. And Rikishi back then, or Fatu as he was known as, he was not the big, sumo wrestler size kind of guy that he later became. He was not much bigger than Jimmy Uso is now.
No.
And he could move. And Rick, I mean, forget it, what Rick Steiner was able to do back in the day. So
let's get some more of these comments here. Yeah,
you got the Bloodline edition.
Merck said, that match was awesome. Yes, I got the game. David's like, I just ordered it back in January. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. The last WWE game I had, because I have not played a video game, God, probably 4 years, I think. When was the WWE game where AJ Styles was on the front?
21?
That was the
20?
last.
No, it wasn't 20. Maybe 20, yeah.
No, wasn't 20 Roman and Becky?
I don't remember. Because I get them all digitally, so I don't know.
If somebody in the comment section can remind us, but the last one I got was the one with Styles on it.
It makes me feel old that my son's playing this game, recreating WrestleMania 9, which I watched live at his age. And I watched Yokozuna.
And he might look at you going, who are these guys?
No, my son knows who they are, from playing the game, but I'm actually telling him what the moves are going to be. And he's going, how did you know that? I remember these matches. The Steiners and the Head Shrinkers it was that good of a match.
Okay. In the
2K19.
Yeah, 19. Wow. Well, yeah, that was pre-pin. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I have not played a video game since then.
This new game is watching my son play it. It's so realistic to watch him play this game.
Yeah, it was. But no, and I'll be honest, because of the fact of with work and doing this and everything, it's like I don't really have time for. Not that not that I'm trying to shoot down on people who play video games, but somebody asked me recently. They said, "When was the last game you played?" I was like, "It's been at least 5 years, not more."
I have 5 kids between my stepkids and my own. I just tell people I have 5 kids. I don't have time to play new video games. I play some of the old games just because I know how quick they'll be.
But actually, I want to continue with the WrestleMania talk. Obviously, guys, we do have a major announcement coming up at the top of the hour here. So again, guys, you're not going to want to miss that because I'm just going to tease it with this. If you're the fan of the show for a while now, actually, you know what? I don't want to tease it because the tease I was going to use would have given it away. But guys, like I said, you do not want to miss the announcement. Coming up at 9 o'clock, we'll be joined by our friends over at the 950 Lounge. So guys, again, 9 o'clock, 20 minutes away from this major announcement. And no, guys, we're not trying to Tony Khan it. We're not trying to be like, oh my God, no. Guys, when I say we have an announcement to make, it's legit. David says here, John, I'm 44 and I don't see myself stopping playing. David, like I said, I'm not trying to shoot down on people who play video games. And like I said, if I had time, I would play a video game. But people know that I become a little bit of a psychopath when it comes to the show. And we can be done with the show at 9:30 and I can still be down here till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Video games are not the Mario that we played when we were kids either. No. These games are so intense and so immersive. It's hard to sit down and just spend 10 minutes to play a video game, like, to kill some time. Yeah. I get into them and I 2 hours later and I'm like, what just happened?
Oh, no, I was like, what was Amanda? Amanda just said, yes, it is legit about me being a little bit of a psychopath when it comes to this. Mark says, same David, I'm 41. But, all right, Jeff, I want to ask you this now. Like I said, there's been a lot of stuff happening in the last couple of weeks since you and I have been on. They're now putting in, hold on, Shamika is chiming in here and saying, I know when they break away to the video cam scenes during the show, sometimes I can't tell because, they've been doing a lot in NXT recently. Will they'll show the person's entrance as it's the video game?
Mm-hmm.
And somehow when they come back, the person's in the exact position they were in the game.
In this new game, John, in this WWE 25, when the character is coming out to the ring, you can change camera angles as if you're the director producing the show or producer producing the show in the truck, and get the best show, the best signs. It's just those little nuances. So,
but we did find out there's 2 more people going into the Hall of Fame this year. Or let me rephrase that: an act and a match.
So last I heard was the natural disasters.
That was confirmed.
And what's the match going in again?
Brett and Austin from WrestleMania 13.
I could see that. That's a career-defining match for both of those men.
Well, let me ask you a question now. Obviously, for Hunter, we know the class. It's Hunter, Michelle McCool. It's Hunter, Michelle McCool. Shit, I gotta look this up now.
Here, I'll look it up for you.
Okay.
So we got, let's see. We got Triple H, which well deserved. Michelle McCool, I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, to be honest with you, I think she's going in because she's Undertaker's wife. She was a good wrestler. I just, whatever. Lex Luger.
Yeah, Lex.
I don't know how we could forget that. And then the natural disasters. And then the immortal moment, Stone Cold versus Bret Hart in the I Quit match.
Well, let me ask you this, though. You just went over. Obviously, we know for Hunter, we know who is going to probably be the one to induct him. It's going to more likely be Shawn.
Of course.
Michelle McCool, obviously, we know who that's going to be. It's going to be
The Undertaker.
Now is where it gets interesting.
Unless they do like a Natalie Hart or somebody like that for her.
Possibly. What about Lex Luger? If let's say
Stinger,
he isn't available,
Stinger, Ric Flair.
I think you have a better shot with Rick than unfortunately with Sting. But now here's the interesting one: natural disasters.
Hogan had history with both of them. Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. Wasn't he their manager?
Yeah. I think that, unfortunately, Earthquake isn't around anymore.
John Tanto, truly such a gifted wrestler.
Yeah.
My first, I've told you this, my first wrestling pay-per-view was SummerSlam, Earthquake versus Hogan. And I just remember being so scared of Earthquake, just how he moved and how he, just that monster that he was.
Now here's the interesting one. Who inducts Austin and Brett for their match?
So they're mentioning Ken Shamrock as the special guest referee. Do you pull him in and do it?
Possibly.
Who would you have?
I don't know. I don't think you can do this one but as far as a big man who's in a tag team, why not have Otis induct national disasters?
Yeah, but maybe.
Again, that's just me more spitball than anything.
Do you know how big those guys were, John? Like, did you ever watch those guys live? Were you too young? And I'm not trying to put you down. I'm just.
Oh no! That was before me.
Like they would come to the ring. I remember the camera angle on them. Their music was thunderous, and they would march to the beat to the ring, and you couldn't tell if it was the drum beat or them walking. And when Earthquake did his jump around the ring and did the Earthquake splash and the Typhoon splash, like those guys were monsters.
You know what's funny? That when they were tag team wrestling, those guys, you forget how deep the tag team division was.
Back then, you had the Legion of Doom, the Nasty Boys. The Rockers were at the tail end of their run. Mm-hmm. The Steiners, the Head Shrinkers, Money Inc. You had Hogan and Beefcake teamed for a little while. And then you had the Beverly Brothers.
Yeah,
you had the Smoking Guns towards the tail end of the natural disasters. Maybe they overlapped a little bit. And then you would also have like the New Rockers with Marty Jannetty and Al Snow, Coco Beware, and Owen Hart. Like that. Look at those names I just mentioned.
And it's funny. You're just mentioning WWE guys.
Yeah, I'm not even mentioning the WCW guys.
Not even
Mike Rotunda, Barry Windham, all those guys.
But not only that, you also have the NWA guys.
Mm-hmm.
With the Brainbusters, because that was Arn and Tully.
Arn and Tully, who they predated the disasters in the WWE, but then they went to WCW and AWA.
But that's one of those things that was actually a video we did a while ago. We tried to do a top 10 tag team list. And that was probably one of the toughest videos I think we ever did.
Who did you have as number one?
I think I had the Dudleys at one.
I
had the Dudleys at one. Because you gotta remember, that's who I grew up watching, was those guys.
Yeah.
Because I watched the Dudleys, I watched Edge and Christian, I watched the Hardys. I mean, now if I had to say my favorite tag team right now, that's currently wrestling. I don't know. That's a tough one.
You know, we mentioned all those tag teams. We forgot to mention the Bushwhackers, the Legion of Doom, Money Inc.
Yeah, but it was. But I mean, you talk about when tag team wrestling was at its peak.
Yeah,
I
my
mean,
my my favorite tag team of all time is Demolition. Always has been, always will be. I'd like to see them inducted next year.
you know what's funny for me? Favorite tag team, and and only reason why I'm saying this team, I didn't see them live. I saw them obviously off of the WWE Network and Peacock. Road Warriors, Hawk and
Yeah,
Adam.
the
Those,
Legion of Doom. Yeah,
especially, and I remember watching this off of SummerSlam '92. Was this? Yeah, it was SummerSlam '92 when they came out in the motorcycles
do you know where that was?
in London.
At Wembley. Remember how loud the crowd was? We just talked about, how loud the
Yep,
crowds in England are.
that was the last pay per view. That was the last major pay per view London had till we had All In 2 years. So, but again, guys, later at some point we'll definitely revisit the top 10 tag teams because I think we can have a lot more fun with that than how we set it up.
Yeah.
But no, but as far as I mean, what we still got, like I said, we got about 8 minutes till uh till our guests show up and we make this announcement. But I mean, other than the matches we talked about, obviously we talked about Cody and John, we talked about Gunther and Jay. I want to look at the women's side of things here for a second. Because I know we have now I don't know if they made it official yet that it's gonna be a triple threat, but we all know that it's gonna be probably more than likely Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley.
Excuse me.
You're good. I don't know why, but this is like the first time the women are like, it's like they don't know what to do with them almost.
Yeah, it's kind of an afterthought.
Yeah.
Which is sad because as much as they've been building up the women over the past 8 years, I'm just not excited to see any of the women's matches so far.
No. I mean, what I would laugh if somehow Tiffany defeats Charlotte.
I think she will.
I don't know. I just want to get to the comments here. Guys, again, I appreciate all the comments coming in here. Shamika said that was when they actually had good tag teams. There really isn't anybody in that cat. Yeah. There's no tag teams now who you can sit there and say, and let's say we had this conversation 30 years from now. I don't think you're going to put a team like that we're seeing now of like I can't even think of one.
Well, you got to remember, Earthquake was coming out of the Hogan run. Typhoon Tugboat was buddies with Hogan. They didn't really know what to do with either of them, so they put them together. And look what the magic happened over 2 or 3 years with them.
Yeah, they did a lot. Those two.
They don't tell stories like that. You know what I mean? Like
no.
It's different matchmaking styles now.
Yeah, and problem is also tag teams don't have runs anymore like those teams did back in the day.
No, the Usos and the New Day were probably the last teams that are going to be like that for a little while.
Yeah. I think, and even if you look down at NXT right now, because I know they always sit there and say, oh, NXT is the future. I don't really think you can even say that with NXT right now.
Mm-hmm.
NXT really doesn't have any big tag teams that it's like, holy crap, I can't wait for them. Oh, I mean, yes, granted, I do have to take a back step on that one for a second because you do have some other teams that are in the works right now. You do have Motor City Machine Guns.
Mm-hmm.
You do have the Lucha Brothers as of Friday when Ray finally comes.
I'm excited for that. I really am.
I can't wait for that. You do have on the other side of things in the Bloodline, you have Oh, what's the Guerrillas of Destiny right now?
Mm-hmm.
I know Tongalo is out right now, but can you imagine when you get um, a healthy, whatchamacallit, Tongaloa with Guerrillas of Destiny, with Motor City Machine Guns, and with the Lucha Brothers?
That'll be quite the that'll be quite fun.
Yeah. We got some more comments coming in here. John from the Front Row Mafia said, sorry, worked late, but checking in. Thanks, John. I appreciate that. It was great seeing you guys this past Saturday, by the way, at Ace. But yeah, I've been. That's one match with Motor City Machine Guns, the Lucha Brothers, and the Guerrillas of Destiny that I have been wanting in WWE for the longest time. That could happen. That very well could happen.
So, John, I do apologize. I got to check out here.
Okay.
And I'll message you offline, but I want to wish you the best of luck with the rest of your show, and I can't wait to see your announcement, okay?
Thank you, Jeff.
All right. Good luck to you. We'll talk later, all right, John?
Absolutely.
All right. Take care, my friend.
Take care.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, guys. Unfortunately, Jeff had to bounce out. Oh, okay. Excuse me. I just farted there for a second. Guys, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine who I had the opportunity to work with this gentleman 2 weeks ago, actually, for a Come Unknown, Leave Unforgettable. Guys from the 950 Lounge, let me bring him in, the one and only Kevin. Kevin, how you doing tonight?
Hey, John, how you doing, buddy? How's everything?
Doing great. And the reason, guys, why I'm grinning from ear to ear right now is because I know what this announcement is. And I have actually, Kevin, I have kept this announcement so close to my chest on this one that there are a lot of people who are watching tonight who have no idea. Because, like, sometimes, doing podcasts, sometimes, you do a slip of the mouth. This one, I was like, nope. I was like, they're like, but what's this announcement? I'm like, 9:00.
Right. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you for inviting me on tonight. It's always a pleasure to join with you. And obviously that day we worked together, for so many reasons, so many emotions will not be forgotten. But certainly I think in that interim meeting, we built a bond and a rapport. Myself, my brother Rodeo, we do a show called 950 Lounge, broadcast at 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern, nationally syndicated. And obviously talking to you and sometimes we just build synergy quick. Don't always have to be a long drawn out conversation or things like that, or have to know somebody for a very long time. We built some synergy and obviously it's a great opportunity. But before I announce that, I know it's somebody else joining and he should be joining any second.
Okay.
Actually, my business partner, part of 950 Lounge, but he's actually the CEO of Backstage Radio. So I would want him to come on as well. But he's coming in at people are talking. But
yep.
There he goes.
Hey, how you doing, everybody?
Hey, how you doing?
All right, how you been?
I've been good. I just celebrated my birthday and
happy belated birthday.
Thank you. And before we get to the announcement, Kevin, by the way, working with you guys doing the match was done very well.
The cracks in the wheel. Like that's the starting point where you can actually start.
Nice.
Go on mute, Ed.
Huh?
I think your background is loud.
Yeah. I know. I'm gonna have to go on. I'm gonna go off video. I just came to so you can see the face. So I'm gonna go up on off video.
Okay. See, John, my tutelage never ends.
Shut up.
I didn't want to announce it until you came on, Ed. But I like you to give the honors. course, you are the El Capitan of backstage.
Yes. So okay. So all right. So one thing I wanted to ask you just to make sure. How long is your show?
Well, Ed, remember we're live on a broadcast. So
No, I know, but I'm just asking him.
yeah.
I usually try to average it hour and a half. Usually my cutoff point.
Okay, so then we looking at bring you on to backstage radio, and we're going to try to do a 2 hour show for you right now.
Okay, that's not a problem at all. I can believe me. I will say this much: with everything going on right now in the world of pro wrestling, that is definitely easy to do a 2 hour show. No questions asked.
Okay, good, because I just got to get the show slot for you and let you know which day of the week that we can have it in, and then we'll just got to make sure that we'll work our way on how to usually you can usually either send through either most people I usually get their stuff from is either through WeChat or Dropbox.
Okay.
So whatever is good for you, either way that you can that you have the shows stored up, I can just grab it, or you can email it to me either way as well.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. That's not
But the
because, like I
most
said,
important thing, John, for your audience, and I don't know why Ed's giving you technical stuff on your live show, is that you're joining.
I didn't know it was a live show fully till you just told me.
You're on a live broadcast. You're joining Backstage Radio. You're going to have an opportunity for your fans and new fans to get to recognize you on a global platform. Odyssey, we talked about that. Your love for Mike and the Mad Dog back in the days. Many other platforms they're on. And also to add another caveat to make it a 1-2 punch, you've also been accepted on She Real Radio, headquartered in Atlanta. That's an iHeart station. It's on Odyssey as well. And that's going to start in June. They relaunched that station late May. And that'll be on June, and you'll have the same 2 hour window there. So exciting times for you and your program. Congratulations, job well done, and we're excited to have you.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad to be a part of it. It means a lot. And if you would have told me, and I'm going to try to stay as professional as I can here right now. But if you would have told me, because I started this, and I've been wanting to do podcasting since I was 8 years old. I have been wanting to be in radio, in some sort of radio world since I was 8 years old. And I remember walking to my elementary school, listening to, even before Mike and the Mad Dog, because Mike and the Mad Dog were on in the afternoon, listening to John Imus in the morning. And I'm going back sometime now.
You're showing your age there.
Oh, yeah. That's okay.
And I always said for years that I couldn't see myself doing anything else, that I kind of had it set fast on radio. And over time, going through all the trial and tribulations, going through all the ups and downs, to now sitting here on April 1st, and basically
not April Fool's joke either.
Yeah, that's the other thing. And to sit there and tell people that you can now find Around the Ropes podcast on the same streaming platform as WFAN. It is mind blowing to me. And if you would have told the 8-year-old me that, I would have sat there and said, yeah, but a lot of it's hard work. And there's actually somebody bigger who I want to thank. And I've thanked this person before, but I want to thank him on here as well. Anthony Cole, the owner and promoter of Bree Combination, who I've been working out with Bree now for the last 3 years. We started working with them in July. We started the show November of 21. So we started working with them probably July of 22 was when we started working with them. And he was the first promotion that kind of give us that seal of approval and believed in us. He was the one promotion that believed in us when a lot of people wanted to throw us off of the airwaves because of something a former co-host of mine did. And having conversations with him, saying how he kept telling me, you know, you got this, you can fight through this, you know, you might have to take some time off, you might have to do some changes. He goes, but you'll get through this. And looking at it now, I think it was the best decision I ever made, was believing in myself. Because I'll be honest, there's a term that we talk about in pro wrestling called bet on yourself. And that's kind of what I did with this. Is with this show, I've been doing this now I started doing college radio / podcasting in August of 2011. And I've been doing this, like I said, for a long time. And this was basically going to be my last go around. If this wasn't going to become something, I was going to give it a month and I was going to walk away. We're now about to celebrate 4 years for the show this November.
Nice. Congratulations.
And the reality is that, you know, Cole, again, salute to him, because he connected us. So, you know, obviously he saw a vision, and we've known Anthony Cole now over 10 years, and he's been through our journey with the 950 Lounge show and all the things we've done. And again, to your audience, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern on Backstage Radio, you can check us out. But he's been a catalyst for us for many years, and so it's only apropos that he would connect these two, us and you, and now we have a whole new project, and we're just scratching the surface, John. Again, for your audience, not to take the cat complete out the bag, but streaming opportunities later this fall. We've talked about doing some interactive stuff. Actually, I spoke to Cole today about, and I don't know if he's announced it. He's actually supposed to come on tonight. The event he's having in May, next wrestling event in May, and how we'll be doing that opening round match again, and hopefully Backstage Ed can join us that day. But we'll be doing that opening match, and I know we're going to talk about some things that will make that interactive and fun. And like I said again, you know, welcome to the fam, man. We're just excited to have you. I'm excited to work with you. You know, obviously, again, that was a sad day. You know, rest in peace, Vince Steele. A very sad day, but you know, it's a situation from a wrestler perspective. It really made me look at the wrestling environment and the fans and the people who put their bodies on the line and unfortunately put their lives on the line. That this is something that we want to be a part of and celebrate these great athletes. And again, you're one of the spearheads of this thing, and we salute you and happy to have you part of the Backstage 950 Lounge family.
I appreciate that a lot. And I actually do have one comment that I want to bring up. Oh, I didn't put it. Okay, let me bring it back in. Okay. My girlfriend actually has a comment she's said in the comment section. She goes, "I'm so happy and proud of you."
Nice.
She knows her and I have been together now for 10 months. Actually, as of April 21st will be 10 months for us.
Nice.
And she knows the stories that I've been through. And she knows.
She told me at the event, like, you know, this wasn't her thing. You kind of just brought her into this wrestling world, you know, it's like being part of the mob, right? Let you in, you're in. So,
yeah.
So you got to have support people. And again, meeting her and obviously now working with you, I see how you guys work together well. It's a well-oiled machine. And, you know, again, it's always somebody supporting somebody that you see. And she's fantastic. So I salute her as well.
Hey, I always put it this way: behind every great man is a better woman.
We have to debate that, but tonight's not the night.
You know, if we see a frying pan hitting you, we know what happened.
Right. Well, I'm in my private lair right now, so unless she's watching the show. But
No,
again,
she's what I'll just put it this way. If you see me at the next pre-combination show and I have a big bump coming off the top of my head, you'll know something happened. Mark, also fan of the show, goes, John, happy and proud of you. Happy and proud of you, friend. You deserve it. I'm going to say this, okay? Yes, in the end, a lot of it was because of the work I put in, but a lot of it also was because of the fan base I've had.
Yeah.
And most podcasts I've learned in my time of doing this can't sit there and say they have a fan base. And I'm not saying that I have, millions upon millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a few people who will watch the show every week. I actually have a fan, I don't know if he's in the comment section right now, who actually lives in the United Kingdom. And he has been watching the show since day one.
And Ed, you're pretty big in the UK, right?
Yes, we're pretty big in the UK as well as Australia, over in Germany, so Canada. So we, worldwide. So your show will be playing worldwide.
So I think the best way I can describe this now to people is there won't be any reason to miss Around the Ropes podcast.
There you go.
There you go.
I'm not trying to do it to stroke my own ego. But
listen, take your victory lap, buddy. You earned it. There's nothing wrong with that. Take your Joe Judge trot around the bases, man. Listen, this is a celebration, and again, just even talking to you on Friday, and just kind of give you the, we thought it was a done deal, but just give you the final, and just hearing your passion, man, it says a lot, because we've been doing our show for a while too, and it is not for the, it's not for the faint of heart. People see oh wow, I just talk about stuff and I'll set this up, but it's work behind it. And I remember talking to your girlfriend at the event and just saying how you're a perfectionist. And that's one of the things we share, because you do your last event and it's like, well, everybody's telling you how great it is, but only you can see the minor, minute details you want to clean up. Mm-hmm. And I think that shows about your passion, your pursuit for excellence, and what wrestling means to you, because your show is not like a show that talks about different things. You are a pure wrestling fanatic. And I say that with all the grace and respect. And I think the sport needs that, because again, if we just relied on the big two, on some of the big names, you wouldn't get this, core of the indies and the guys and girls that really laid on the line. And like I said, just knowing Cole for many years and some of his enthusiasm and seeing it firsthand, and now, getting to be able to work with you, it's a legion of fans that deserve people like you, John. And so we're just kind of like being stewards to this thing and really just blasting it out. You're doing all the work, and that's what it's all about, man. So
and I appreciate that,
basis, man.
I appreciate that, and that's the one thing with me. And like I said, Amanda can attest to it. And I was saying this beforehand, actually, before you guys hopped on. There's times like I'll do a show, and then I'll be like, okay, also the show will be done. I'll be like, you know what? Let me go take care of this quickly. Then take care of this, and she'll get me on FaceTime. And I know I'm pulling back the curtain here for a second, but she'll get me on FaceTime, and she'll yell at me to close the laptop and go upstairs. So she's done that plenty of times. And I know I'm saying all this, and I know next time she sees me, I'm going to get a big hit over the back of the head. But no, like I said, I appreciate it all. Trust me, it means a lot. And yeah, she just said it. She goes, yes, it's true. It is true. But that's the one thing I like, though, with the setup I have, is I don't have the ability to take phone calls yet. That's my next goal, is to have the fun. I can go more into this, if you guys are okay with it after I do my sign off and everything.
Okay.
But Because actually, you know what? I'm actually going to do my sign off now because there's really nothing else. This is kind of the main event of the show. Was this announcement? So, guys, if you're just joining right now, first of all, go back to our YouTube page. You can rewatch the video there. Go to Spotify because this show will be up on our Spotify page probably within the next hour or so, I'm figuring. But guys, also, in case you missed the announcement, and this is an announcement that I have been looking forward to announcing. Ed, would you mind making the announcement one more time just in case somebody is joining if they didn't hear it?
Yes. You will be a part of Backstage Radio Network for 2 hours, and we're going to be letting everybody know what day and time when the next podcast when you're going to be having, and let them know what day and time and what day you're going to be starting. So welcome once again to Backstage Radio.
Guys, this has been a long journey coming. It's far from over, and it's just getting started. And guys, we're actually going to get out of here right now because if I stand here longer talking about this, I'm going to start tearing up. So, but guys, Ed, Kevin, thank you so much for hopping on. I appreciate it a lot. You guys can say right there, guys, for Jeff, I'm John. I want to thank everybody in the comments section. Everybody who watched this, guys, go subscribe to the YouTube page. Follow us on Facebook. And also, guys, follow Backstage on Facebook as well. Guys, this is the start of something big. We'll catch you guys next time right here on the Around the Ropes podcast.